Go Loud presents the Talking Bollox Podcast.
What you waiting for? Put your back in it. Just a little more. Throw your weight in it now. Tell your body you're tense. Walk it hard and long. When you finish that,
The hip knocker.
go down, go down, go down. Come up, come up, come up, come up.
Right, boom. Episode 59, the Talking Bollox Podcast, brought to you by Go Loud, the home of Irish podcast. It's me, Terry Flower.
It's me, CLB.
And this week we're joined by
Darren Lalor.
Darren. How are you, pal?
I'm great, buddy. How are you?
All good, all
Yeah,
good. Yeah,
yeah.
fresh as a flower. We've big news for you there, yeah? Calvin, take it away.
Absolutely grand. Hand one over to me. So you've asked and we have delivered. We are doing a live show Friday the 4th of March, Liberty Hall. Tickets go on sale on the 7th of February, Monday the 7th of February, but the pre-sale link is available now. Sign up to the pre-sale link to increase your chances of getting tickets, but you cannot guarantee that you will get a ticket from pre-sale. Yeah?
My nerves are gone.
Right. So it's going to be our first live show. We're looking forward to seeing everybody there. We have a few tricks up our sleeve. We might bring a guest. We might not. We
Or
might.
we might bring a few. Or we
We'll
might
see what
not.
happens. We'll see. Do you know what? We keep the cards close to our chest. Yeah, we don't say too much, but well, you just have to be there and see what happens. You know what I mean? We're liable to bleeding to do something stupid, so you'll have to come and see us, especially for the first one,
I know.
because whatever mistake we make in the first one, we're not going to do in the second one. Well, I'll hope so.
Hopefully no mistakes. Just
Well,
let
sure,
it
look.
cruise. Do you get me? My
Yeah.
nerves still be gone. My nerves are gone now, Darren, yeah?
Yeah, good. You'll be great.
Stop, will you?
Well, sure, look.
Friends, that's being said, as.
Yeah.
Hopefully, yeah, hopefully.
Imagine it was everyone just launching things at us now. Get off the stage.
He's adored.
Doing
Yeah.
them gigs, yeah.
Yeah, he's adored. Right.
We'll jump into the single stamp last
Yeah.
week. Yeah, Darren, have you listened to an episode of this?
I have listened to part of Arlo Handlin and Jim Sheridan.
Yeah,
The boys.
the lads. So we do a thing called zingers, yeah?
Yeah.
There's like an either or, a would you rather, stupid things. We're at our wits' end with them, yeah? So, the ones from last week, the results. What way do you put your cutlery in the dishwasher? Face down, face up?
Oh, jeez, I just throw it in.
Yeah.
It's working. The dishwasher's not working, yeah.
Yeah, Calvin, you know what I'm saying?
I just throw them in, but a lot of people were messaging us saying you should put them face down because if you open it and someone could fall on it. What? Who the fuck decides? Do you know what? The dishwasher's open there. I'm going to start doing 100-metre hurdles out in the kitchen. Like, who's running around the kitchen when the dishwasher is open? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but you can just fall, no?
Oh, come on. I think people are being too overcautious. Do you know what I mean? Put them face down in case someone falls on them. What? But apparently there's an episode of EastEnders where someone fell, a husband pushed her and she fell on a knife that was in the dishwasher sticking up or something like that. So I don't know. Look, it makes sense and all, but like what he's going to be doing? You might as well walk around your gaff with a helmet on if you're going to be that careful. You know what I mean?
Anyways, the results. 53% do them facing up. And
Yeah, so-
47% put them in
Nearly
facing
half
down.
and half, yeah.
Yeah.
I just throw them in, yeah. And people are saying that they sort them out and all, spoons on one, knives on the other. Everything can get in there. Once it's all in there, it's clean, isn't it?
Valid point. Right, the second singer. In the chipper, do you say the plural version? So if you were saying garlic and cheese chips, would you say garlic and cheese chip or chips?
Oh, chips. Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. I'd say a garlic and cheese chip
Yeah.
or a fish and chip.
Yes, it's weird because
No, I say chips.
yeah, because you expect the one chip.
The one chip, they just give you the one chip.
Yeah, well, they're
It's
not
like in
going
England,
to
they
do
say
that.
50 pounds. They say, no, 50 pounds. It
Pounds,
sounds
yeah.
better. You feel
Yeah.
like you're loaded, yeah.
Someone messaged us and said that he was in Australia with his missus and she said they were ordering off a menu and he said, oh yeah, and can I get a chicken nugget as well? And he came out and gave her one chicken nugget. Because what she meant was a portion of chicken nuggets, like a chicken nugget, and they came out and gave her one chicken nugget.
He's a legend for that.
Well, yeah, well, that's what you're asked for, isn't it? It's like
chicken
that one. When I'm in work and you're reading like a requirements doc, right? It has to be like people interpret things differently. So there's an old one when we were getting trained in. An example to use is a mother sent her son to the shop and says, "Get eggs." Oh wait, no, sorry. Get milk, and if there's eggs, get 6. So get a bottle of milk, and if there's eggs, get 6. And he comes back with 6 bottles of milk and goes, "They had eggs." Do you know what I mean?
I
It's
get
how
you.
it's interpreted. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll
I
get
get-
that just to annoy you.
Yeah.
Just get 6 eggs. I'll get you the 6 eggs. Get me one chip. I'll come back with
Well, one chip. Yeah, that's what you're asked for. So
The results. 81% would say The plural version.
Yeah, because they're right.
And then 98% would say it's chip. Yeah, so yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Zingers boxed off. I don't have a zinger for this week.
I have one, and it's a bit childish. So, but apparently it's the voice of. So you know that rhyme. This little piggy went to the market.
Yeah.
You know that one. And this little piggy said at home. What did the next piggy have?
This little piggy had roast beef.
I don't know.
I say bread and butter.
And this little piggy had none.
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah.
So apparently this is a thing.
And is that the answer you were looking for him to say?
Yeah. Some people say
roast beef. Oh, very good. Yeah.
some people say roast beef, but some people say bread and butter. So do you say bread and butter or do you say roast beef? Look at what 9 episodes in.
We're struggling, I think.
Yeah.
This, like,
We're close to the end. Shout out to Ryan Bowles and anyways for sending me that one. He's from Ringsend and his board's from Finglas, and he said there's be trouble with that.
I'm from Finglas.
So it could be a Finglas thing, actually. Yeah,
Finglas
it could
thing,
be a
yeah,
Finglas
yeah.
thing.
but yeah, I think in the last couple of Yokes with Zingers of
That bad.
podcasts
See
with
what
Zingers,
bad.
yeah.
Have you got one, Darren? No.
No, the funny one that somebody said, a weird one, is that if you're in the shower, do you wash your hair first or do you wash your body first?
Oh, that's actually not a bad.
I wash
one,
my
yeah.
hair first.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I wash my hair first.
Something stepping in. Yeah, I think I wash my hair
I
first.
wash my
yeah.
hair first.
Yeah, hair's the
yeah.
first thing to get wet, no? When you think about it, yeah.
Yeah.
But the question you have to think about, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah.
That's
It's
not
something you have
bad.
to think about.
You
Yeah.
came in here prepared, didn't you?
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
had to,
love that.
And I don't have much hair, look.
You're doing well.
What?
You're doing well.
I know.
I know,
just wanted
fellas.
to move her over this side a bit, yeah.
Fellas half your age with quarter of the hair.
25, 50 this year, man.
Love it.
Right.
Something we forgot to mention. So when the tickets go on sale, they're going to be €20 each,
Including and booking fee.
and then there'll be a booking fee with it.
Right.
Won't be
So
much, but
there'll be a hall door and booking fee.
and booking fee. Yeah, so just that's it.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah, suggestions.
€20
is actually a great price as well.
Yeah.
Just saying, you know what I mean?
So people have. Sorry.
It's a round figure.
Yeah. I think it's reasonable.
a score.
Yeah, it's a round
Hold
figure,
on. Bleeding 20 blew for a
That's
score.
what I was
these
going to
days.
say, yeah.
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Smokes are about bleeding €21 or something.
Yeah,
Yep.
lung like a cocoa pop.
Yeah. Some people sent us in a couple of questions. They want to know who books the guests and how do we get the guests.
Both of us. Oh, I mean, both of us and Go Loud.
Yeah.
So, like, there's a mixed bag.
Yeah. So we have to say on the guests, but that doesn't mean that we say get us this person and they come in. The lads do suggest people for us. Like, it's a team effort here. You know what I mean? Everyone has to pull that way.
Yeah.
So we would say, can you get us X, Y, or Z? Because the lads might have a better reach than us, or we might know them. And if you go through the guests that we've had, we do actually know most of them directly, and we just send them a message, ask them, do you want to come on? Or sometimes the lads in Go Loud will send a message for us, like Darren. That's how we got you in here.
Yeah.
And yeah, but
They just suggest them sometimes. Like they say, lads, what do you think of this person, that person, and that person? And
Yeah.
we'd be like, no, sounds good.
yeah, or whatever, yeah. But we do still pick the guests because I know a lot of people are getting very snipey and narky about it, saying like, oh, you can tell who's picking the guests. We pick the guests.
Yeah. It's always been like
And
that.
would there be any time somebody would say, no, we don't want him on or we don't want her on?
All the time.
That happened, yeah.
Last week.
Oh, the this week.
Don't bring our man on.
No, I'm only messing. No, it's not like that. But myself and Terence, we chatting like we think this person could be good, and
Like, even if the other one is hesitant, you just give your points across. Say,
Yeah.
look, this person will be good because this, and this. They stand for that, and this will be good, and the usual carry on.
you go with that, yeah. So, but yeah, we still have the final say before the
But
trigger's pulled.
hesitancy is good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of unsure you're going, is that the best gamble?
Yeah.
Or is that not the best gamble?
In fairness, and there's been a lot of them where you'll be like, I don't know, will this be good? And they've turned out to be exceptional. Like,
Yeah.
there's loads of them where you'll be like, oh, I can't believe how well that went, considering like we were hesitant about getting them on.
Definitely.
You know?
Definitely.
And then another question someone said is, would you have somebody from the third floor on? I always said no, because we're not allowed down on the third floor. They shouldn't be allowed up here.
Yeah, but we're not allowed down because of our antics.
Yeah, but like, it doesn't matter.
You don't realise how loud we are. It's actually a joke. Like,
Yeah.
as soon as we come in, like, everyone's like, for fuck's
But
sake.
what's the third floor?
So we're on the 5th floor
Yeah.
now. The 3rd floor is on
news
news
talk and
Oh,
dress
the
codes
professionals and all,
that.
yeah.
See, the only third floor I knew was when my auntie lived in Ballymun.
Yeah, so you don't want to go
And
there
we're
either.
from Finglas, you only have 2 floors, upstairs, downstairs. We don't have a third floor.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, the 3rd floor in this gaff. Stop.
Yeah, big business getting done down there, you know what I mean? I
It's
think they have a
like-
bouncer on the stairs, you know what I mean? Sorry,
So
lads,
they
not
won't let you
tonight.
down?
No.
No, we're not allowed. But do you know, I actually agree with them.
Yeah, Eddie right.
Yeah, the bleeding neck of us. We do be screaming, shouting.
I'm going
throwing
down that 3rd floor after this. You're looking, I'm not going down now because I heard a rumour going around. Hey, mugs are down there.
Have you ever talked about this? Because
We can talk about it. No names mentioned, right?
Is that your mugs is in your face or your mugs is in your book?
And mugs, yeah,
Gotta keep away.
yeah, don't let them in, yeah. We had mugs, personalised mugs, me and Terence have, yeah, our names and the logo were on them. And we brought them over, and that was grand, everything was great for a few weeks. And then just one day they went missing. And we kind of let it slide, didn't we? And we didn't really, know. Did we not know?
Caused murder. I mean, we caused murder.
No.
Carver tried to make us look real nice, though.
Do you know what I mean?
Where's your mugs? We were refusing to do a podcast and all. We didn't get them.
I didn't get them back.
No, but we still.
We did get them back.
Here today.
Yeah.
We did get them back. What did you read for
A
that?
big fucking herd in the table.
Yeah, we did. We got them back eventually, and then they went missing again. But I don't know how did we not get good murder the second time then?
I think we were over it.
But
'Cause
what-
we should be the ones stroking.
I think it's an insult. I think that's somebody acting a bollocks for us because they're personalised mug. So it's not as if you're using it by accident. They know who owns that mug.
Has your fucking names on
That's
it?
what I'm saying.
Has that logo and our name?
So they know.
Is it not secretly an invite to come to the 3rd floor? That's what
So it could be a setup.
Yeah, I
a
think
Trojan horse kind of
Come
thing.
down to the 3rd floor. get
Yeah,
your mugs back.
handcuffed. Get them out of here. They were acting a bollocks on the 3rd floor.
Pat Kenny lumping the head off the two of us.
So you have to stage one Pat Kenny's show to get your mugs back.
I'll just walk into the middle of news talk. Sorry, I'm looking for a couple of mugs. Or I found a few. Yeah, and walk out.
Calvin with the bad jokes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but this is just a little message. Yeah, bring our mugs back.
Or else.
And that's it.
Or else you'll be down looking for them.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's that.
That's that. Suggestions done.
Yeah, no real questions this week. A lot of just went
send us
in.
in. See, when we put the yoke up on the Instagram, on the Talking Bollox Instagram on a Sunday saying suggestions, and people just keep writing in there, "You're great, just do it."
Went to live show and all,
Yeah,
yeah.
well, like, no, tell us something to talk about. We don't know.
You should do a greatest hits of all your show. Not about on a Saturday they have like an RTE.
I'm telling
call
you.
it a load of bollocks.
Yeah.
No,
I'm telling you,
he's
there's-
on
the
the ball.
No, I don't think so.
Greatest hits for a Saturday.
Was somebody onto you? Because there's a leak in this building. Every time I come up with something, on the next episode somebody talks about it.
Happened in the McGuckin episode.
It happened a few times.
With the film club, remember?
I think someone tapped my phone.
Yeah,
Telling you.
because Calvin literally only said this to me last week that we should do something like
It's
that.
a great. Yeah, why not?
Do a run through of all the episodes,
Do a run
play
through
by
all
play.
the episodes, let everybody see who you had on. You know, except for your mugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your poor mugs.
We're gonna get them back. I'm telling you. It's like taken.
It is.
You know what I mean?
There's going to be slaughter on here.
Particular set of skills.
Yeah, fact. So, suggestions boxed off. As I said, send us in actual things you want us to talk about. Do you get me? Darren,
Yeah.
into yourself, pal. So what we do with all, I guess we just go back to the start. Tell us what life was like growing up, blah, 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 where you're from and all. But before we do that, tell us what you actually do first.
Yeah.
What I actually do for.
Because people might be looking at this saying, "Who's your man?"
Yeah.
I'd be looking at myself saying, "Who's your man?"
Do you know what? Actually, if someone recognises you because what your profession is, I'd be wary of them if they're able to say, "Oh, I know him," and I'd be like, "Right, he's a bogey then."
You of our previous guests will be looking
Yeah.
at he's all right and he's a
Probably
good skin.
Members of my family be going, "That's your man." I'm a barrister at law, so I practice law, mainly in crime,
Right.
since 2015.
Good contact to have.
Yeah.
Good contact to have, yeah. And I just kind of, I could say I was made to do it. I was
As in, like, you were built for it.
No, I was made.
Oh,
My wife
you were
made
pushed
me,
into
yeah.
doing it. All right.
She wasn't my wife at the time, and she suggested, she said, "I think you should do law and medicine." And I was going, like, she's off her head. Law and medicine. And I was ringing me mate. She's telling me what to do already. And so she said, "Come on." She said, "You should go back and study law." Because I was in a different career at the time. And so I listened to her, and I went in and started a law degree in DBS. And it went seriously wrong from there on in. So and that's how it began. I met a friend in there who was a guard, and we became really good pals. And he said near the end of the law degree, "Come on, we become barristers," he said. And I was going, "This bloke's off his head. Me, a barrister?" And I went home, said it to Fiona, "He wants me to become a barrister." "Oh, you'd be great," she said. And we went and did the exams. I think it was 2012. And we failed the exams. They were entrance exams. You had to do 5 of them. And we failed. And myself and Fergal, and I was driving a taxi at the time, and I went out that Friday night, depressed. I think I'm about to fail in my exams. You had to wait a while for the results. And the first fare I got was on George's Street, and dropped a lady, I think it was, to Mines, I think it was, or Ranelagh. I think it was Ranelagh. And she ran off without paying me, you know.
Legend.
I remember, and I was going, I'll run out, I'll kill her. And I seen these guards and says, your woman's not out to pay me. And he says, oh, there's nothing we can do. I said, you can. I said, it's a Section 8 making off without paying. How did you know? I just sent me entrance exams for the King's Inns. So they ran after your woman anyway. But look, we just let her away with it. And so the following year we set the exams and we get in, you know. And we spent 2 years in the King's Inn. So that's how I ended up in there.
We'll get around to all that.
Yeah.
That was just a little teaser.
Yeah.
Just real quick, I want to call you out on something. You said it was a Section 8 not paying. Is Section 8 not public order?
No, that's Public Order Act. Yeah, that's a different one.
two different
This
things.
was the Theft and Fraud Offences Act.
Yeah, there's two different ones.
Yeah.
Two different Section 8s.
Yeah.
There's loads of different sections.
Sections, yeah.
Yeah. And the worst thing was, I was thinking out tonight, they start asking me about the sections of law. People would be thinking, he knows nothing. you
Yeah.
know?
What section 10?
Section 10, I don't know.
Right,
have to look
Andy,
it up.
right, what is that?
Section 10 of what, though?
I don't know. I
Section
just,
10
I just,
I have to look it up.
I just
Section
wanted
8
to
of
put
the
him on the
Public
spot.
Order Act, you have to leave the area, blah, blah, blah. But was that not if you were suspected of doing a crime?
If you're suspected of doing something funny, yeah.
Yeah.
Suspected of doing a crime, and how would you know that?
How do I know that?
Yeah.
Because I looked her up because I know from standing in a park, a public park, a guard come in and he says, you all have to leave under Section 8 of the Public Order Act. And someone said, for what? And he said, loitering. And he said, well, how can you be loitering? We're in a public park. We're entitled to be here. And the guard done the U-turn and walked right back out.
Very
What
good.
a point.
So I looked
There
her
you
up because I was, but just be standing around and the guard comes over, Section 8, you have to move.
Been
What?
hit with it 1,000 times.
But what, like,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's, I looked her up and I was like, right, you can't just come over and tell people to leave. And then it's unless you're suspected of committing a crime.
And
or
did you look her up on the internet?
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. The internet, you can find anything you want.
Anything in the world.
Anything you want. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Yeah.
But I made sure like it wasn't on bleeding like Wikipedia or something. It was in like the proper,
Yeah.
the proper.
You find dodgy things on
Citizens'
Wikipedia.
Advice or something.
Yeah,
it was,
dodgy
but-
Section 8 on Wikipedia, yeah.
Yeah, no, but you know, it's nice to know that because then you don't want guys just coming over for the sake of it and saying a random law and you thinking, oh, right, I haven't got the right to be standing here. And it's like, unless you're suspected of doing a crime or about to commit a crime or, you know, like that, it's basically being suspicious. So it's always nice to know the law because then you know you can't get yourself caught out.
Right, grand little lesson there off the CO, babe.
I might- I might
You
print
should
it
be
on
coming
myself.
into the courts now tomorrow.
Be coming in a couple of weeks.
So we asked you to Section 10, is it?
Well, that's why we got
That's
you
why
on
we
the
got you on. We're
podcast.
looking to get you
Yeah.
to do a Nixon. No comment.
Oh, stop by him sweating, boys. Right, Darren, into yourself. What's your name? Where'd you come from? And what was life like growing up?
What's my name? Okay, Darren Lalor's my name, and it's Lalor. And everybody called me Dazzler or Darren and, you know, D or all other names, but never really, or Lalor. What's the story, Lalor, you know? So they never really called me Darren Lalor. So I'm from Finglas. I moved to Finglas, I think, when I was 2. My mum and dad had a flat in the North Circular Road, and we moved to Finglas when I was 2, Ballygall Parade. And then when I was 12, then we moved down to Griffith Close. And so I remained in Griffith Close until about, I think it was 2009. And I moved in with Fiona then. And then just life just took over, you know, as simple as that.
What was life like growing up?
It was interesting because up in Ballygall Parade, like the people I grew up in Ballygall Parade were the same people I grew up in Griffith Close. But just then we met other people as well. So we've kind of been around the same people all the time, you know. And it was interesting. Like I was always into dogs and music and, you know, contraption speakers and radios and wondering how things always worked. And I always put my mind into that. But big into football. Was never really into going to pubs and, you know, kind of hang around corners or drinking around like that. I just never really drank, you know. But life is okay growing up. Sometimes be difficult because you'd be kind of trying to find things to do, but we always played football or we always got up to things. I had a video camera and myself and my friend Scott Dunn used to go around making videos, you know, and we used to go on long walks with dogs. So we just kind of made the most of the time that we had, and we had plenty of time to make the most of, you know.
Yeah,
No
what were you like?
computers, nothing.
Yeah, it's different back then. What were you like in school?
I don't know. I think I left school at 14. What was I like in school? I was interested in school, but I just left at 14. I was in Benevin College. I started in the De La Salle. Well, Mother of Divine Grace made me communion, went to the De La Salle, and then we went to Benevin College. And everybody thought, oh, Benevin College, you must be loaded. It was just the secondary part of the De La Salle. And I think I left there when I was 14.
Why?
I don't know. I don't know why.
Woke up one morning, Jeff, fuck this.
not going in.
Yeah, do you
I
ever get
kind
like
of
that?
had a job, like, you know, I was doing the job, like, you know, working on a milk round and vegetable rounds, and I just didn't go to school. I just thought, like, you know, I've other business to do out there. But what
Don't
the
need to
business
go to
was,
school, yeah.
well, that's what I thought. And I was thinking, I don't need to go to school. I've other things to be doing. But I didn't know what I had to be doing, you know. But still, I had a big graft for music, always into music. And it was always trying to head in that direction. You know, so I left school at 14, started working vegetable round, milk rounds, coal rounds, you know, always working for people,
Yeah.
you know, low wage jobs, yeah.
And how long did you do that for then?
Oh, on and off, I think, until I'm only guessing till I was about 16. This guy called John B. Heaslip, he owned a shop down near the Creamer where we lived. And he always said to me, if you go to Foss, he says, I'll get you a good job. So I listened to him and I went into Foss, and he got me a job in Presco. And I remained there for, I think it was over 10 years of my life. And I learned how to do things, but I never learned to craft. I never went to school. I never went to college. I always kind of had that self-doubt, like, this is for other people, you know? And sometimes other people would let you know.
Yeah.
You know, look, you're a labourer, this is what you do. And other people would try and encourage you. But I did like milk rounds and vegetable rounds, and I was kind of mixing and matching things like through my life. So I couldn't put an exact time, but I really ended up, I think, in a normal job around the age of maybe 18 or 19, maybe a little bit earlier than that, you know. A normal 9-to-5 job.
Yeah. So then, talk to us then. So you've worked a load of jobs.
Mad jobs, yeah. I was milk round, coal round, vegetable round. Used to hold a sign for a place called Mary Bowers and what was it in Henry Street. I used to sell posters in Henry Street. Mad jobs, like, you know. And I was always into something, always trying to keep work on. But I never really like held a proper job down until I went to Presco for 10 years. And so then I very slowly start falling into music. You know, I wanted to be a weightlifter and a powerlifter. I was interested with the Hulk, and I went off and I did that. So I used to go to the gym all the time. And I met this guy called Alan McAdams. He's a bass player. And he told me he was in a band. And then we just became friends. And I had a video camera. We went to video them one night in Barnstormers, this mad place with all hippies and rockers. And I just thought I was on a different planet, like, you know. And my interest in music just kind of took off from there, you know. And I was... Alan's band had split up Shrine, and I was going, oh, this is me out letting music on. And then Kieran went out on his own, the singer, and he asked me would I manage him. And I was going, like, manage him? Sure, I haven't got. I don't know end about managing him. And he said, look, I'll give you 2 numbers. He said, here's Chrissy Digham's number, of Aslan, and Tony McGuinness's number. And the music things just kind of took off from there. Still held a day job, but the music was kind of like the big passion and hobby on the side, you know.
And have the lads took off then? Oh,
well, Shrine won the Battle of the Bands on 2FM, and they were really good, but I think they felt they took it as far as they could. They had interest in the UK, and they were kind of let down by managers and people who were promising them this and promising them that. And but Kieran had a great voice, and he teamed up with a guy called Stephen Vickers, and they wanted to get into a place called the Da Club. They always wanted to play these type of venues, and I didn't know what the Da Club was. And then I found it was a place where people drink wine up an alleyway just around the corner from here. And so they asked me to manage them, but they wanted the Aslan gigs. They wanted to support Aslan to get that recognition. And so Kieran and Stephen went as far as they could, and then I was doing the Aslan gigs with them. And Alan Downey said to me one day up in the Fingal, he said, look, we're looking for a roadie. And he said, would you like to be the roadie for Aslan? And I was going, for me? I said, a roadie? He said, yeah, you'd be great. He said, we'll take you under our wing and we'll sort you out and, you know, put you on the right track. And that's where the music end took off, you know. But still, I had left school early, no education.
yeah,
You know, so all these hopes and dreams, but nothing to back it up.
yeah.
You know.
And you done like a world tour with Aslan, did you?
Well, we did. With Aslan, we went to Australia. We were in Spain. We were in France. We went to Jersey. You know, so we were kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
Australia was the furthest we ever went. You know, and so Aslan, I started with "Here Comes Lucy Jones" just when that album was coming out, and I finished just before "Waiting for This Madness to End." That was just being released. So I think I was there for 4 or 5 albums. But I think it was 4 albums made in Dublin. "Waiting for This Madness to End," and the
Classics.
oh, great albums. And it was a great time, you know, to go in. Like, I was very young. I was I think I was 26, but very young in my mind. And suddenly I was launched into this kind of a very, very public arena with Aslan and keeping my day job at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, trying to balance two things, afraid to give it a full-time thing, just in case it went wrong.
Yeah.
And but it was great. Absolutely great. Dream come true.
So you have some stories from that.
Oh, come here. Like, you know, I was idolised Chrissy Dignam growing up.
Yeah.
Great storyteller. The way he could go on stage, tell a story. And when you listen to the songs, you go, Jesus, he's singing about me. Or he's singing about the girl next door. Or he's singing about, you know. And you just always kind of, it's just a passion everybody could relate to him. But to be asked, oh, you be the roadie. And I go, this is nuts. And Joe would give me his guitar. I'd go home, take it apart, put it back together, bring it in from the next day, and he'd look and say, oh no, this is off or that is off, you know. And it just took off from there. But it took a while to kind of find your feet, what your job was, what you were meant to do. So I started off as the roadie, you know, taking the gear in, setting it up, and then production manager then, which involved the same things, but you were kind of buying and selling all their equipment and getting endorsements and booking the support bands, you know. And the stories were absolutely crazy, you know, absolutely crazy things happened on the road. Things you could never, I think you could imagine.
Fellas
if you were
in there,
yeah.
but you're sitting there saying, no comment, what?
Yeah.
No, the thing, like, we used to arrive in, Aslan used to play every nook and cranny of the country. You know, Larkin Ennis was their manager.
Still do.
Oh, they still do. And Larkin was their his view was like, you know, go see the people. Instead of having one gig in the Point or one in the Olympia, you know, go to all the nooks and crannies around the country, you know. And we were all over the place. We were up in, I was saying one of your colleagues this, and I'd probably get slated by this poor blind fella down in Cute Hill. We were in Cute Hill, and Jerry Quinn was the other roadie, you know. And myself and Jerry didn't always get on, but we worked brilliantly together. You know, if Jerry was your backup man, any gig you were doing, Jerry was the guy to have with you, you know. And I was kind of a little bit more technically minded than he was, but he had a great kind of a great street cred. You know, he kind of he just knew how things worked, you know. And we were down in Cute Hill one time, and it was a small little town, and this guy used to have a living room, and it was called the Venue. So the living room of the house was the venue. So people would come from all over the place to see Aslan, and they'd be looking in through the windows. And we were down there one time, and this we noticed this guy was sitting down with glasses on. He had a pair of sunglasses. And I thought it was one of the lads from Westlife. Just seeing your man sitting down. And Jerry said, he goes, look at your man over there with the glasses, you know. So Jerry's packing up the gear, and he says, he goes, you must be expecting the sun, are you? And your man goes, what? You must be expecting the sun. And he goes, no. He says, I'm blind, like, you know. And I was going, oh, Jesus, you know. So Jerry had to go up and say to the manager, Jesus, look, he says, I'm after insulting your man over there. He's blind. I didn't know. I thought he was one of the lads out of Westlife, you know. So Larkin goes, you better give him some merchandise. So Jerry goes back and gives your man a CD and a book, you know. So he hands your man the book, and he says, oh, look, I'll get one of my mates to read it to me after, like, you know. So there are funny stories, you know, I mean, obviously not funny for, you know, you have to be very careful what you say, but things like that, you know, very innocent things that can go wrong. But that was just one of the many, a lot of them will come to my mind now.
Yeah,
I'll say,
probably
this
won't
thing
be able
goes
to
along.
say.
Yeah,
Yeah. We had Christy on. We went up and we actually done an episode in his gaff.
He's great, isn't he?
Yeah, he invited us in. So
Yeah.
you give a shout out to Christy.
Yeah.
Christy is a legend. That's what we were saying. It'd be great to get Christy in now to the studio. Because one thing we regretted was not hearing him singing, like in front of us. We'd have loved to get him to sing on that podcast. But we never got him to sing.
He kind of bottled it, didn't we?
Yeah, we were like, oh, we'll ask him.
But
We'll
like
see
we
what
were
we
in
can do
his
to the
house, yeah. You know what I mean? You don't want to ask
When
him.
you hear that, when you hear Christy open his mouth, I don't mean like open his mouth, but when he just sings, it's just that rawness and just that passion, like, you know, it's absolutely incredible. Just to actually see somebody like deliver something, whether he's written it or not, just the way he can, you know, take somebody else's work or even take his own work and deliver it in such a way that everybody gets it, you know. And it's a very unusual talent to have, but to actually work with somebody who you were a fan of for years. I remember one time I was in working my day job, and this girl rings me, Sarah McQuill, and she was crying. She said, "Did you hear Christy's dead?" I said, "Christy's? No, Jesus, no." I said, "He better not be." He said, "He owes me money." I said, "He's dead." And she says, "He's dead." So
You say he owes me money?
yeah, he owes me money. You know? And I remember like Larkin Ennis, the manager, ringing me. He goes, "Are you getting phone calls that Christy is dead?" I said, "Geez, everybody's ringing me." He said, "Geez, I've MCD on to me and all, like wondering what's going on, you know." So he said, "Look, if you hear anything," he said, "give me a shout." So I keep on ringing him, Larkin. I said, "There's no answer to the phone." So eventually got through to Christy. And he goes, "Look, are you hearing I'm dead?" I said, "Yeah, everybody." He said, "I'm not dead." I said, "Well, obviously you're not, you know." So we didn't know what was going on because Jerry Ryan was on that morning. He goes, "I'm not hearing sad news. We'll confirm it just after the break, you know." And so I said to Christy, "Look, we want to find out what's going on." What happened was we found out eventually that a neighbour of his had died around the corner. But the way Christy would the way he would take things and the way he would explain them, he said like, "Darren, you won't believe what happened. One of Catherine's friends knocked at the door, obviously to come round to, you know, console her, Christy." And I answered the door and she nearly dropped dead in front of me, like, you know, "I thought you were dead," you know. So so little mishaps like that, you know. Well, mishaps for one person, but tragically for somebody else, you know, unfortunately.
I'm sure we'll get the good stories off her.
When
the mics are knocked off.
So come here, how long were you with the boys for?
Gee, I was trying to think of that on the way in. I know I started with Here Comes Lucy Jones was just being finished at the time. The lads were just kind of...
What year would that have been then?
I'm just trying to
Early
think
90s, is it?
Yeah, I'd say the early 90s because... Like 1988 they got back together, or 1988 to split, 94 they got back, and Goodbye Charlie Moonhead was out. And so the Here Comes Lucy Jones, I'd say around the 90s, yeah, when that came out. And that was just in the demo stages. So I went in very kind of like immature to music, but kind of knew the way I'd like things to look. Or if I was going to see Aslan, or if I was going to see you, I'd like the things to look a certain way. And the lads kind of had that thing as well, you know, that things should be a certain way. So we went in on that. I went on that album, and then what happened was then just the tour then happened, you know, the Olympias and all that type of stuff, you know. And but they were just great times, you know, absolutely great. And for a band that had been around such a long time with such history, to effectively take it under their wing, and like they're teaching you, you know, and then eventually they start relying on you based on what they've taught you. Just a great privilege, you know.
And when all that packed in, what did you move on to next then?
Oh God. When all that packed in, I was then did stuff with the four of us. They're from Newry. They had a big hit out years ago, Mary. And they were great lads to work with. They used to like rehearsals, you know. Great songwriters and really, really into their music. And then I moved then on to Mickey Hart then, doing stuff with Mickey Hart after he came back from Eurovision. And back and forth to the four of us, and then some stuff with George Murphy, you know.
So you stayed in managing music?
Well, I stayed in doing the production part, you know.
Yeah.
Now with George Murphy, Dave Brown was his manager. Not Dave Brown from Picture House, the other Dave Brown. And I'm not going to say like I co-managed George, but myself and Dave would bang our heads together and try come up with ideas for George, you know. And I was driving a taxi at the time because, you know, there wasn't that much work around. I always kept a job. And the Mickey Hart thing was very interesting to see. We did Croke Park for the Special Olympics at that time, just to see the reception that Mickey Hart would have on the big stage, you know. And then going to work with somebody like George Murphy, you know, kind of on that kind of folk end of things, you know. So I've been around kind of different genres of music, that word. But they all had their own story to tell. But they're all unique as well. You know, because George did stuff with the Dubliners, and I was going like Ronnie Drew. And then like Mickey Hart was doing things with, like he supported Tommy Kitten down in Cork. And I was going, yeah, Tommy Kitten. And then like Aslan were doing, you know, obviously they were headlining all their own gigs. So it was a great mixture, a great kind of mix of a bag to be thrown into.
So you pack all the music stuff up, or that just kind of fizzle out itself?
No, it just kind of fizzled out. Like the Aslan thing ended like on just a phone call, you know?
Yeah.
They have these things of ended. I mean, Christy got a phone call when they finished for him. I got a phone call when they finished for me, like, you know? And when that happened, like, you're devastated. You know, they literally just take the big chunk out of your life, you know? But when the music started fizzling out, I did a thing with George Murphy, and we had, it was launched up in Donahoo's, not too far from here. And I was going to get out with Fiona at the time. And what happened was, when I was driving my taxi, I was driving the taxi and I was looking after George at the same time. So I had met my future wife driving the taxi. I was coming down, I think it was Drumcondra, and I seen three people put out their hand for a taxi, and she get in, our two mates get in the back. And she started asking me about guitars and stuff like that. And I was thinking, maybe she was at an Aslan gig. Why should she be asking me about guitars? And I said, look, there's my number. I said, give me a ring and we'll
Some chance
I'll
I
get you. What can I say? You know.
Close mouth never gets fed.
Do what?
Right, yeah.
So she rang me the next day for guitar lessons, and then we ended up becoming friends, you know. And what happened was when the George,
lessons.
do I?
That's what they're calling it back then, was it?
Well, see, there's only certain strings you can pull, you know?
Yeah.
You know. And I was well in tune. So so what happened was we just became friends, and then she kind of knew what I did, you know, kind of part time, and she could see it going. I'm not going to say going wrong, but she could see it going nowhere, you know, because you'd be working on this project and then you'd be on to the next one. But there's no real money in it, especially if you're holding down another job. So she just recommended, the night Michael Jackson died, she said to me, on Stephen's Green, would you not do law and medicine? And I was like, what? I said, law and medicine? And she goes, yeah. Now, I did weights for years, and I was thinking, maybe she wants me to be a physio. But law, she has no intercertive, no leaving certif, nothing.
And what does she do?
She works at St James's. She's a nurse. She's assistant director of nursing. So she's kind of like the old matrons. Remember the old matrons used to go around keeping the nurses in line? But Fiona's not like a white glover. Like if you went in tonight with a cardiac arrest, she'd work on you, you know? She'd be in charge. She'd be visiting like over 50 wards.
Yeah.
So she just kind of noticed this thing, as I said before to other people, that I didn't know I had, you know, like an ability to do something different. So the night Michael Jackson died, we set up, we were watching telly, and we were watching all the scenes from where he lived. And I said, okay, I'll go into Dublin Business School and see. We did a bit of research on it, and the law part just kind of happened from there.
And you were just doing like law with like no real end goal. You just like, I'll do this and see what happens, or did
That's
you want
exactly it.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, I'll do this and see what happens, or see what, see where I can kind of get out of it, see where it's going to lead, you know. I was kind of lost at that time.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't know what to be doing or where to be turning. And,
How old are you at this stage?
Oh, geez. Well, it was 2008, so I'm 50 this year, so I was in my mid-30s, you know. I just didn't know what to be doing. And so we decided to go in, like, do the law degree, went into DBS, and John O'Keefe and Barry Halton were the guys who went in. I think John O'Keefe was the dean at the time, and Barry Halton was a barrister. I didn't know him. We went in for the open day. And, you know, people were guards and they worked in the Department of Justice, and then other people did this, and I'm driving a taxi. And I said, look, lads, I know nothing about law. And they said, do you have any kids around like that? I said, no. And he said, okay. They said, look, put your mind into this for the first year. Once you get through that, you'll be grand. We'll mind you, you know. So just kind of started from there. And the law degree took 3 years. Drove me taxi during the day or sometimes at night time. We used to mix and match it. And I'd get all my notes, read them into my phone, and play them in the Bluetooth going around the city. That's the only way I could learn.
Yeah.
You know? Because I wasn't a great reader. I could read, but it would have to really interest me to read things.
Yeah.
And that's how it started.
Yeah.
It was as simple as that, you know.
And were you doing jobs around at the courts, trying to pick up a few solicitors and barristers down there?
Yeah, I used to pull in at the Globe at night time in I think it was Georgia Street, and I'd be recording the stuff in, and then I had to move some of the work to days then, and I used to pull up outside James's Hospital and then the CCJ, and then people used to get into the car, like, you know. And this guy got in one day, Luigi Ray, and he goes, you seen it? There's this law book sitting there, and he goes, you in trouble, son? Like, I said, I'm doing this law degree, and I'm stuck on evidence, wherever it was. And he said, oh, you need to look here, you need to look there, you know. And so I kept on going back to the court. So I told Barry Halton, I had this guy in the car today, Luigi Ray. Oh, Luigi Ray, he said, tell him I was asking for him. He's practicing like 40 years. And I didn't know who Luigi Ray was. And so I just kept on going to the courts. And Luigi said to me a year later, he said, look, if you want to be a barrister and if you come down, you know, I'll take you on. He says that you can be me devil. I didn't know where a devil was. Like, what's a devil, you know? And it's like an apprenticeship that you kind of do in your first year. And it just kind of happened from there. So every day I'd pull up, see who'd be getting into the car, and then try rob tips off them. Huh?
Yeah. Voice off.
Yeah,
No,
try
it's
rob
right.
tips off them, yeah.
It's a clever way of going about it, you know. Like, you'll have all this information in a book, but you can get real life examples from people who are in the know-how in that field. Then why not?
Look, it's incredible. This gentleman got in one time, this lady got in one time, and she said to me, if you're looking for this book on something, she says, or we look for a particular area of law. She says that this barrister, she says, wrote a great article on that. So she told me where to get it. And I had an A4 pad and she wrote his name down, Tony McGillicuddy, you know. And she says, look for his article online. She says, you'll find it. I think it will help you. So I said, grand. Dropped the lady down to the forecourt, went back to the CCJ. And 4 or 5 people, wherever it was, came into the car then. And I threw all their stuff in the boot. And on the front seat was the A4 piece of paper. So this gentleman got in, he picks it up and he goes, he says, what's my name doing on
No
this
way.
A4 pad? And I said, no, wait, I'll tell you what happened, you know. So all these coincidences just kind of happened at the same time. And I just stuck with it, you know. It was tough,
Yeah.
but I stuck with it.
Did you ever imagine when you were younger you'd have gone into that?
Not a
field?
hope. No, you wind me up, not a hope.
Did you ever have any run-ins with law? And you were like, you know,
No, I used to look at the difference between right and wrong, you know, and how come can be guilty of that, but he's not guilty of this, or how can the police do this or do it? I was always kind of interested in how things worked, but I didn't have any run-ins with the law. Like everybody else, I mean, you know, you get your scrapes growing up. I kind of kept myself, not going to say clean, but you know, away from trouble. I was always busy doing
You can
things.
still travel, sort of.
Yeah, you know, but that doesn't mean that, you know, there's other people out there who you're going to sing now, is it? Yeah, there's other people out there who kind of, it's not their fault, you know, kind of like who they are.
Yeah.
Because maybe they came from a different background. And it's very important that people recognise that I've been very lucky. I mean, Aslan took me under their wing, you know, to do what I've done, you know, for a lot of my life. And Luigi Ray took me under his wing. But all this thing with law wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Fiona. You know, she kind of just noticed something there that we can kind of build upon and try get a proper education.
yeah, it just seems very weird that you'd pick like law for a career if there's no kind of background there to it, like to steer you down that way. And especially you said your wife is in medical as well.
Yeah.
But just law seems very weird. Like, and I think this is a big thing. Like, there's so many people from our area who will have run-ins with law, but don't choose law as a career, or their siblings don't choose law as a career. Do you know what I mean? Because you wouldn't be short a few clients.
Oh, yeah, it's a banker.
But see, I didn't pick law. It was
Yeah.
picked for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and but it was just, it's kind of like somebody saying to you, look, I think you should do a podcast. And you're probably sitting there going, why do we want to do that for? But it's just an idea. And I just went with it. Like, why not? Because everything else I did in life, you could say, was a gamble. But life is not a gamble. I'm not here for that. I'm here to do something. And sometimes you don't recognise yourself, what you can do or what you can't do. I mean, when I started with Aslan, to work with Aslan up to get to the Point Depot, or to do the Maid in Dublin, the 5 nights in Vicar Street, and to be in charge of that production, like the live part of it. Now, obviously Larry Bass was the guy who did the Maid in Dublin part, but to be part of the live production and to run it and to advise on it, all that came about only because other people seen in me that maybe he can become a little bit better at what we think he can do. You know, so it's just when other people see it and they kind of, it's like Pimp My Ride. They kind of take you, they fix you up, and you become their product, you know. So the law thing is not a hope. Me growing up doing law.
Yeah, very profitable career though, isn't it? When you think, but
No, well, let me tell you, the answer is no, because when you were saying earlier on, I'll give you an example now. I'll give you a question. What would you say I get paid for going into the district court? Now, my practice is mainly in the district court because I'm young in years at the bar. You know, I'm there since 2015. I was some working the circuit court, but mainly district court. So what would you say on your first day in court? Not your, if you were in court for the first day, I get paid. So let's think now, the first day in court is like we might apply for legal aid. I might advise you on the charges that you have. We might do a bail application. You may plead guilty on the first day, but for the first day in court, what would you say I get?
I don't want to be smart or anything, but I've never actually had to pay a solicitor.
Yeah. No, yeah. Well, even that.
Neither have I. Free legal aid.
Under the free legal aid scheme, what would you say I get paid?
$350.
I don't know. Couldn't tell you.
Okay. So you
Did you say higher or lower than $350?
500.
500. For the first day in court, under the criminal legal aid scheme, your tickets are €20 plus the booking fee for your show that's coming up.
Yeah.
Isn't that right? Okay. And I get my haircut for €20 around the corner from where I live. €16, throw the girl a €4 tip. I get
Tips the barber.
paid.
Love.
I get paid under the criminal legal aid scheme €25.20 to represent somebody in court on the first day. If you plead guilty, and we do the plea mitigation, telling the court why you did it, and I would get €50 and 40 cents. If it goes to hearing, we get €67 under the criminal legal aid scheme. So people think that.
So you don't want the boys to get a strike out in the first aid then?
No, see, it doesn't work like that, because when somebody comes in, like, they're literally, I'm not going to say placing their life in your hands, but something has gone wrong in their life, and they're saying, look, I did it, or I didn't do it, or whatever the situation is. And when people think that when you become a barrister, there's like there's gold at the end of the rainbow. There's not.
See, this is something, I'm glad you touched on it there, people putting their life in your hands, because, like, through more experiences in court, like, personally, and when I went with friends, and I've seen, like, people being represented, I couldn't get my head around it, because, like, I'm one of these people that if I fail because of me. If I succeed, I like to succeed because of what I do.
Yeah.
When you see someone standing up in court and they have someone else speaking for them, and it's literally like they're whispering in their ear, and the solicitor or the barrister is speaking, I'm like, you could have actually just spoke those words. You know what I mean? You don't have to say them to the middleman.
But you can.
Yeah, you could. But I mean, that always baffled me. So I always thought to myself, like, why are these people not just representing themselves? And not to be insulting to you or your profession, but I just thought these people they're very timid when they're speaking to judges. They're like, oh, my client here on the day in question did this. When you're like, have a bit more conviction in your voice, you know what I mean? Stand up, put your chest out, speak, sound convincing. And then you see, like, it be put back or whatever, and you're like, to me, it just never set right with me, you know? And it's just the whole experience with law and the courts. I think it needs to be cleared up, especially for people in our area. And when Jim Sheridan was on, he said it. He's like, you're not very coerced in law growing up. No one actually tells you anything until you're in the thick of it, and you have to learn quick then. And I just think that's something that needs to be broadcast a lot more. You know, there's resources available to you. You know what I mean? Like, there's knowledge out there. Go and apply yourself with things like law. Like, simple as that. Like, I looked up what Section 8 meant in the Public Order Act, so it can't be abused towards you. And I think there's a perception with court that when you go in, it's you against the police and the judge. When that's not the case, it's you and the police convincing the judge who was right and who was wrong and what happened. And I think that's a perception that people need to change.
I think you stand a lesser chance, though, if you go in without a barrister, I think, because not everybody can employ themselves.
No, but...
So there's young fellas who are going to go in and they're going to wear the tracksuits and they're going to talk about the talk, and I'm be like, no, hold on for a minute, like, and it just doesn't look well for you. So it's easier to get somebody in who can actually...
But what I meant was...
a lot of young fellas get frustrated and fumble, and they're like, no, he fucking... You know what I mean? I think it's easier.
And even if I'm involved in situations like, even if, like, if we had... Like, my mum was sick through COVID and we had one or two difficulties with her care, and when you go in to tell the hospital or the nursing home or the doctor what has happened, you're kind of wrapped up. You're kind of a little bit too much wrapped up in it, So it's important, I think, to get anybody maybe just to kind of maybe step back and let's look at the whole situation and see where it is. For me, going into court is that, like, see, not everybody has, like, when you're looking up Section 8, maybe you can pass that bit of wisdom onto somebody else. When I have, like, Aslan and they train me to become something, they're passing on their wisdom to me. When Fiona, seeing something in me, she's passing it on to me. Or when Luigi Ray is passing information on to me, it's kind of passing things down the line all the time, so everybody can benefit, because, like, all the tomorrows are there for everybody, and not just for the people who claim today for themselves. When you go down and become a barrister, like, there's people in there who are geniuses. They're very well educated and they're great people to work around. But the fact is that when you go into, if Fiona wasn't working, I would say I'd be gone from the bar a long time ago, because you can't survive in 25-20. So I need her support again to help me keep my practice going. So effectively, she's like subsidised my practice, if I can put it that way. But when you go into court and when somebody is pleading guilty or when they're accused of a crime, I have a job to do. The same way when you go into hospital, a surgeon has a job to do. I'm sure that Fiona and her colleagues are going to give somebody bad news tonight, God forbid, and you may have to give a client bad news. So you're just representing them to the best of their ability. And if they plead guilty and say, look, I'm wrong, it's important to give the court a kind of a view of what has happened, how it came about, what the background to the situation is, because every story has a start, middle and end. you know. And when you go to court, you're hearing the end part of it. This is what he did, or this is what she did, you know. So when you're standing up in court, people do get frustrated. I get nervous going into court. If you don't get nervous, what's the point in doing it?
Exactly, yeah.
You don't be going and kind of, you know, cocky, like, if I can put it that way. And and judges are fair people. They listen to what you have to say, you know, and they will apply the law as they see best, you know. And you have to, of course, judges get it wrong. I get it wrong. I'm sure doctors get it wrong. And but yeah, some people do represent themselves, and some people would rely on other people to help them.
I'm not saying I encourage people to disregard,
right.
but I mean, like, there's a perception that it's you against the judge and the guard, when that's not the case. The judge is there to take in all the information and make a decision.
Yeah.
You're there to plead your case. The guard
It sounds more difficult. Like, if you just think about, I'm up in court, you automatically think,
I need help, yeah.
Yeah, help.
But
yeah.
what I meant as well is, it's not you against the two of them. It's just you against the one. It's you against the person who has you in court.
Yeah.
And the two are pleading with the judge.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Like, I had one run in court in my life, and it was struck out. And it was struck out because the judge looked at the situation and says, like, this is ridiculous. And in front of the guard. Now, I personally thought it was very embarrassing on the guard's behalf for even having this up there. And then the judge obviously thought that as well and struck her out.
And did you represent yourself?
Yeah, I just stood up, and the judge, no problem, struck out, good luck. And that was it. And the guard sat there with his head down. And
But do coppers get paid extra?
for going to court, I think they do.
Well, the guard would be on. Well, the guard would be on a salary. I mean, because they're guards, you know. So I would say that when they're going to court during their work day, that's part of their work. And I'd say that if they're going to court on days that they don't work, or maybe they get time in lieu, you know. I can tell you to get more than €25.20, you know.
So they're standing outside the courtroom, yeah? The names will be on the wall,
Yeah.
with the surname,
about
alphabetical order,
14
yeah?
of them.
And if you look on, like, certain months, most of the time it'll be one copper has about 10 or 15
Yeah,
people.
the day I was in court,
On
with
the
one cop
same
had
day.
like 13 people up. All on
There could be any reason behind that. There could be any reason, you know. So you wouldn't know. I mean, I get a call today. Oh, will you go into court tomorrow and do A, B, and C? You know, and you're given the papers. You meet the client. You find out what the situation is. But it's kind of like. It's kind of like going into hospital and say, well, why didn't they give him that treatment, or why did they give him this, or why didn't they give him that? You know, for me, every situation is every shop is easy to look into from the outside, but when you go in, you start to kind of realise what it's all about. And everybody's situation is different. Every allegation is different. You know, every guilty plea is different, you know. And so it's easy to read the newspapers and say, oh, look at this and look at that, you know, unless you're really in the case, unless you really know about it. So it's very hard to comment on something that you're not part of.
Yeah.
Unless you're part of it. And if you are part of it, you can't really comment on it because it's between you and the client and the court, you know.
Well, I think this is something, it's like a mystery, like the law and courts and stuff like that to people until you're in the thick of it. You know, like that, and then people learn about as they're going. And I think that's the wrong way of going about it, because you're learning on the job, but like, it's a delicate thing, you know what I mean? Because it literally could be your livelihood is
even
on
like,
the line there.
If you were diagnosed, God forbid, like if I was diagnosed with cancer tomorrow, I'd be off reading up about the cancer I have and what not to eat and what medication, and should I go running or should I do this, you know? So I think that when something knocks on your door, it's only at that time you'll actually sit back and
it's a good way of looking at it,
look at what it is.
Yeah.
And that's the only way I could explain it. Like, for me to go into the courts and stand and represent somebody, like, I'm 50 this year. I went back to school very, very late. And for me, it's just, like, this is incredible to actually stand and represent other people. For me to walk onto stage and tune a guitar for Joey Joel, or for Billy McGuinness or Mickey Hart, or for Blue. We did a couple of things with Blue, or to walk on the same stage as Madness. You know, these things are incredible to do. But it's only when you look at a show, like you're going to have a live show coming up, and you'll actually see from your live show the amount of work that goes into that. So behind the scenes will always be behind the scenes, unless you look behind the scenes, I think.
Yeah.
So, you eventually you went back. You said you failed your exams. You passed them.
I eventually passed the King's Inn exams. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Horrendous.
so what way is it work then? So you pass that, you get into King's Inn College, is it?
So, excuse me, I did the law degree in DBS.
Yeah.
Dublin Business School, that was 3 years.
Yeah.
And then you have to do your entrance exam to get into the King's Inns.
And that's to become a barrister, is
Yeah.
it?
So when you get into the King's, so you get your law degree in Dublin Business School, and when you're going into the King's Inns, you do your barrister law degree. So those exams are over 5 days, Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
3-hour exams. If you fail one, you have to come back next year and repeat them all.
You can't move on to the next
You
one.
can't move on. So what happened? No, you have to sit the whole 5 of them, and then
Yeah.
after you sit the whole 5 of them, even if you knew you failed exam number 3, you still have to sit the other 2, and a year later you have to go back and sit them all again.
Oh, no way. So even if you say you pass 1 to 4 and
Yeah.
you failed 5, you can't just sit 5.
No, you have to go
sit-
back.
Oh,
you have to go back
bollocks
next
that,
year.
yeah.
So we
Balls,
had failed those kind of first 5 exams, and so what city colleges were very good to me. They prepared me for the King's Inn entrance exams. Philip Burke said, "Look, we have this program in place. They help people, get into the law society to become a solicitor, and we have one to help people get into the King's Inns to become a barrister. We get all the information you've learned over the past 3 years, and we compile it in such a way that you're able to answer questions. Because you've all this knowledge, you don't know how to apply it." So Philip Burke put this thing together, and myself and Fergal McSherry went in, and we did the exams.
Yeah.
And we failed. I think I failed one. I failed one exam, and I think it was a few points short on another one. And Fergal had failed a few. So the year later, then we went back to city colleges again. They prepared us again, and we got in the second time round. So we spent 2 years in the King's Inns, and in 2015, we were called to the Bar of Ireland. Mad, absolutely.
What does
nuts.
that mean, called to the bar? That means you're a barrister then?
Yeah, you're kind of sworn in as a barrister. So
Yeah.
the graduation is in the King's Inns, and then you go to the Chief Justice. I'm not saying you go to the Chief Justice, but you get down to the Supreme Court, and they swear you in. So upstairs, you have your gown on for the first time, and you have your 3-piece suit, and you're going, great, you have a 3-piece suit on. And I'm real small, so they got all the communion suits. So communion suits, they'll fit me, And there used to be a guy down there called Peter, and he'd put the wig on your head and make sure it's straight and all. Then you'd face you around to the mirror, and she can see herself. You're like, oh, and then you get down. You take her out before the court. It's like being sworn in.
Yeah.
if I can put it that way.
So-
you're called to the bar.
Give or take, it could take you 5 years from when it could take you 5 years.
Yeah.
So 3 years down the law degree and then 2 years.
Yeah, so 3 years, then a year in between because we failed, and then 2 years. So it took 6 years altogether.
Yeah, but
get
like
in.
if someone say, I don't know, tomorrow, let's say Terence decided to go into law,
Yeah.
in 5 years' time he could be a
You
practicing
can get
barrister.
in 4 years because you do your law degree in 3, and then the King's Inns you can do a 1 year. You can do a full-time barrister law degree. I did a part-time
All right.
because I had to work and we had 2 kids. I need to be able to pay for it.
Yeah.
And so we get in. So it took 3, 1. So 6 years it took.
Yeah.
6 years of hell.
Madness, that.
It's like it's never too late to actually go and
Yeah.
like you're living proof.
Oh, come here.
Like to me, if you would have said to someone like, "Oh, he's a barrister," I'd say, "Right, he left school and he went straight into college and he got stuck in the books." Like,
Everybody thinks that, people, when people ask me a question, I don't know everything. I can't. I
Yeah.
don't think there is a barrister who knows everything. Unless they're, oh, look, well, here's the charge. If they're not sure, they'll go off and they'll read up on it or research the law. But you're dealing in different things every day, And for me, for me to go back to school and to get, my law degree, my barrister law degree, for me, that was just incredible because, I've no winter cert, I've nothing, no leaving cert. And I left school very, very early. I left school really, really early. And my uncle Brendan used to be on my case all the time. Oh, I should go back to school, he said, and, do this and do that. And it got to the stage that he was wrecking me head. And then my mum and dad, they were kind of on my case a little bit, but, let him find his way and we see what happens. I used to walk with my dad on a Thursday. I used to get paid in CIE in Fisborough. And we used to walk through the King's Inns. And I'd be holding his hand. And I'd be saying, oh, what are they doing here? That's where you're trying to become a judge. He used to say, oh, yeah, very good. And little did I know, whatever,
So
20
many
or
years
30
life will
years
come
later,
full circle. Yeah.
I'll be in there. But if I can do it, anybody can do it. But what happens is that people need the support to get in and do something. Whether it's you with your podcast, whether it's Christy Raslan, whether it's Mickey Hart, whether it's Shane McGowan, everybody needs that support,
I definitely think there's barriers in the way for a lot of people, especially from our areas. Because as you said earlier on, you were sort of like lucky enough to get the breaks.
I was
you've
very,
got
very
in
lucky.
life.
And there's definitely barriers there. Like, as I said, when you go into the courts now, there's people who may be there who may be on pensions, let's say, they're in different jobs. So they're able to kind of sustain, let's say, those losses, right?
Yeah.
Or you may have somebody who may have a lot of money behind them, or maybe their wife or their parents or have a few bobs. So they're not really, I'm not saying they're not really worried about money, but they kind of have that backdrop. But to get to that level, you still have to go to college first,
Yeah.
you know. And I think for me that there are definitely obstacles placed in front of me, and I think the obstacles really came from me, you know. So what we do in the courts is that, or what I do, they have a look into law program, and they will accept students in from any area. They don't care where you come from. It's like a lottery, you know. And kids will apply, and they'll spend a week in the courts. So they'll spend a week with me. There'll be about 10 or 12 kids, and we show them, you know, how the courts work.
Yeah.
We go down to the four courts. We bring them to a Green Street court. But I just go that little bit further. I take transition year students in, and they spend a week with me.
Like
And
work experience.
They come in on, they come in on day one, and they get to see the cells. And it's from day one we create a scenario. Let's say somebody gets assaulted at McDonald's, or they were drink driving, or they had no insurance on the car, they didn't realise it. And we create a scenario, and we let them see how it goes through the courts, you know. So I'm giving them the opportunity that I never had. I'm not
Yeah.
sure the opportunity was there, you know, long before I went into the course. But I give them an opportunity. But I have people who've got in contact with me to say, because of that week or because of that talk, you gave me the encouragement to go and look for a loan or to go and try get a grant. There's one girl I know who's actually studying now, during a law degree, and she wants to go into the King's Inns.
That's class.
And it's great because you're basically saying, I've helped one person to become something that they're always able to become.
But they never thought they could be, yeah.
They just never realised
Yeah.
it, you know?
And that's the thing. So you were saying obstacles. I'd love more people in our area to get involved in law, but on the other side of the law, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
they're always on the wrong side. And as I said,
Yeah.
you always come well versed in the law. When you're on the wrong side of it, you need to find out. I'd love to go up to court and hear a lot more solicitors and barristers that sound like us, you know, and be like, that's class, because it's not a classist thing. It's a upper class person representing a working class person all the time. I'd love to see that, the diversity in there, and that program sounds deadly. Getting kids, in,
It's great, and because of
involved so
COVID,
they know.
it had to be knocked on the head.
Yeah.
I have a student coming in, well, subject to the restrictions. We received an email from the Bar Council today, which I haven't read yet. But and this thing I do it myself. But it's great to receive guidance to see what courts are open and what courts are closed and how things are moving. But when you have a student coming in who's rattling, I mean, rattling, they're coming into court. It's great for them to see something different. And even if they go to James's and they spend a week, let's say, working alongside a nurse, you know, it's great just to give anybody that opportunity, you know. But there's definitely barriers for people to go back to education, without a shadow of a doubt.
Is it, when you go back as a mature student, the point system goes out the window, doesn't it?
Yeah, the point system for me, it is. I paid for going back to
course,
DBS.
yeah.
So when I went to DBS, I think the fees worked out 15,000 for that for the 3 years, and the King's Inns worked out 12,000. I think 12,500. And what I used to do was I used to drive the taxi, and Fiona said, "Look, wherever I get paid, wherever she gets paid, I look after the family." And she said, "Wherever you get paid, you just pay for college." But she ended up throwing money in against it as well. And then I was driving a taxi at the time, and I remember going out one day and earning €50. I said, "Fiona, I can't drive the taxi anymore for €50. So she said, "Look, train as a healthcare assistant and come into St. James's Hospital." So I trained as a healthcare assistant, went into St. James's Hospital and worked there while I was in the King's Inns, you know. So so I was kind of lucky that way that we had Fiona's income, because it was just me on my own trying to support, let's say, 2 kids.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have children when I went to college.
Yeah.
You know, the kids came like in my second year. Actually, my first year exams was criminal law, and Fiona went into labour on that day. Exactly 1 year later, on the same day, my exam was company law, and Fiona went into labour that day, you know. And absolute disaster. And in year 3 they were saying, "All right, is there anybody pregnant now?" You know? But so I was very lucky that way, and I was extremely lucky to have that. But it's the people I worry about is somebody who doesn't have that behind them, who doesn't have the financial backing behind them. And there are some grants there.
Yeah.
I think there should be more grants.
Yeah.
Because everybody deserves a chance to be what they are. Every single person, you know. And if something stops them, they're going to have to try get over that hurdle. And it's my job and your job and everybody else's job to help them.
I think if you're out of education for more than 2 years and you're over the age of 23 or 24, you qualify as a mature student, and that's when the point system goes out the window.
Yeah, the point system went out the window for me. We just paid, and I say
Yeah.
paid away like bride people, but we just paid.
Oh yeah,
And did you know, did the 2 degrees, but But anybody can change their direction
Yeah.
if they're just pointed in the right direction, because a very simple mistake that you make in life can bring about a lifetime of guilt. And maybe not a lifetime of guilt in the courts where you're guilty of a criminal offence, but, you know, things happen, trauma happens in people's lives. And what happens is that lifetime of guilt just kind of, I shouldn't have done that, or I should have done this, you know. And these simple mistakes hang on to you forever. So I'm just happy that people literally just got me at the right time and said, this is what we think you should do. You know, I've been extremely lucky to have the life I'm after having.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like working with my idols, Aslan, you know, working with the four of us, you know, geez, this is great. Working with Mickey Hart, you know, working with George Murphy, you know, like designing George's album cover, doing some of the photographs. I mean, these are, and still holding down a day job. So I was very lucky and very privileged. But for somebody to come along and say to you, look, I think maybe you should do something different now. It's just great for someone just to catch you and just pick you up and not change where you are, just face you
Go
Yeah.
into, yeah.
in a different location.
And you're living proof of that. I'd love somebody who's listening to this who maybe is a bit lost and doesn't know. Like, it's not too late, you know what I mean? You can apply yourself. And I know you said there's not many, but there is some resources out there, like grants and access programs and stuff like that. So if people are thinking about to go back to education, especially becoming a barrister. I remember at that time when I did have that run in court, I was in sixth year at school. And I remember thinking, like, this is deadly. I'd love to get involved in this. But the points for law at the time, I was like, there's not a chance I'm getting it. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I always said, look, I'd love to go down that route because I don't know, you may not have noticed this, but I love arguing with people. And I was like, do you know what? I'd like to get in there because I'd like to, because I'm like yourself, I like the process of things and understanding the process and then being able to apply that and be like, well, this is what happened and this is what was broke and this is what wasn't broken, etc.
Yeah.
So, like, imagine somebody listening to this now and be like, you know what? I'm 25. I don't know what I'm going to be doing with my life.
Even just one person. I put up a thing on LinkedIn. I was looking at it today. It was 11 months ago. Just a kind of brief, maybe 8 or 9 liner of how I think when the pandemic came, people were panicking over their leaving cert, and I just put something up just to say, oh, look, this is what I did, and it got, looking at it today, I think it got 301,000 views on LinkedIn, and I was getting messages off people who had exams on Monday, and they were sending me messages on Sunday saying, I read your article, the King's Inns did a brief article, and I was doing exams tomorrow. I didn't want to go in to do them, but kind of your thing is kind of at the egging me on to go in and do it, and like if that's just one person.
Brilliant.
You know, if you can just change the whole thing just for one person, it's incredible. But I think government, they just need to wake up, you know, and let's change this all elitist society. Let's create opportunities for every single person. I'm practicing at the bar. I'm in court in the morning. I mean, I may not be a practicing barrister come September, you know, because I won't be able to survive on fees of €25.20, you know, and something has to be done. I mean, if student nurses were paid €25.20, you know, for representing somebody or looking after somebody, there'd be war, you know. So people have to wake up and say that if you're doing an important job, regardless what it is, that you have to be paid and you have to be paid properly. So the way it is with me and some of my colleagues, I mean, in March, there's going to be a situation now where barristers at my level, you know, may have to walk out of the courts, you know, may have to walk on the steps of the courts and send a message to government to say, you know, like €25.20 is not, it's an insult.
Yeah.
So, but I say to people, go back to college if you can, or go back to school. Study anything you want. If you're studying law, go off and be a barrister. Become a solicitor. Keep away from crime. I mean, the criminal end of practicing until the legal aid system is fixed and fixed properly, you know, and maybe go in-house working somewhere or keep at civil law. But don't let anything stop you from becoming something that you've always could have been, you know. And it's up for everybody, I think, to pass on that message. I think it's up to everybody.
Yeah. So, Darren, you're sworn into the bar, yeah? You know, what's your first day in court like?
First day in court was I was dropped outside on a Monday, and my wife dropped me outside, and she gave me a £5 for my lunch. With a £5, I had my gown in a bag, and I was going, oh, Jesus, you know, like, it's like lunch money. And I remember waiting for Luigi Ray to arrive because he was my master for the year. It's kind of like an apprenticeship you do. And to make sure that you don't bankrupt the state or anything or make a show of yourself. And my mate rings me and he goes, come on, he says, down to the to the early house. He says we get down to.
Claddagh,
He was working in
definitely.
James. I said, I've only a fiver. Come on, leave that till tomorrow. I said, I have to go in. I have to go in. So I went in on my first day, which was on Monday. And Luigi, we did my first day, you know, getting the feel of the place. And he said to me Monday night, he says, your first day making an application in court will be tomorrow, will be Tuesday. And I was going, oh, Jesus. So he told me what I had to do. And obviously, I went in the next day and I was kind of, you don't know how loud you have to speak or how loud. I just remember like making the application. I could see like the kind of the breeze passing everybody's hair, probably shouting, like, you know. But it was very nerve wracking, you know. But yeah, I did it and it was a challenge. And the but very nerve wracking because you were trying to. You knew Luigi had you well briefed what you had to ask, why you were asking it, any difficulties that could happen with the application or anything that the court may ask you. But he was he had your back all the time. He'd be sitting in the front row and you'd be kind of 3 or 4 rows back. So he'd be there in case anything went wrong. But nerve wracking.
Yeah.
After sitting there like saying, what am I doing? The same when I was doing the Aslan things, you'd be going to walk on stage in the Pints doing production manager and you'd be saying, Jesus, what am I doing here? Like, you know, and it's the same. You know?
Are you allowed to go into any detail about what happened on that day, like your client?
No,
or-
I can't. No, it wasn't my client, it was his one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're right, NDAs, isn't it? Non-disclosure
Yeah,
agreement.
it was his client, you know. But no, it's nerve wracking, but you kind of learn as you're going along. You learn, you know, how to look at a case, how to read it, how to advise the client, but you don't know everything. And the support amongst your colleagues up there is incredible. To actually turn, you know, to a colleague who's sitting beside you and say, look, like, what's this all about? And they stop what they're doing, they tell you. You know, the support's incredible. It really, really is incredible. But the downside of the bar is just people think that you have this kind of big pot of gold that people just fall into, you know?
Yeah.
And it's far from the truth, particularly on the criminal end of things, you know?
Yeah.
Do you find like the law and the sentencing, there's like discrimination up there?
No, well, I can't really go into the sentencing because I'd be disagreeing with a judge then and I would be getting into trouble over that. But the when you go see a case, that the judge will know everything about the case when they're told, and they will make the appropriate decision in relation to sentencing. You know?
So you don't think there's any inconsistencies based off background, classism?
Well, when you're looking from the outside, it's very easy to see the inconsistencies. But if you're sitting, I suppose, on the bench with all the information, I'm sure that the court will make what they think is the right decision, you know? And if you disagree with the decision, you can always appeal it,
Yeah.
you know? But it'd be unfair to kind of think that there's inconsistencies all the time when you don't know anything about the case,
Yeah.
you know?
Valid point.
No, it is. But I just think there's one or two high profile ones, you know, when you look at this situation, what happened, the circumstances, and then you see the sentence. But then you see like the culprit and they have two completely different upbringings,
Yeah.
you know, and you're like, well, this was fairly obvious. We've heard this one before, like, you know, like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I always say to people, if you're unhappy about anything, that you make your unhappiness known. You know, if you're unhappy about the water charges, people make their unhappiness known. If you're unhappy about the law, you make it known to your politician, you know, and see what happens there. But when you're sitting down and you're looking at a case and a judge, you know, he or she makes a decision, they make the decision based on what's in front of them. Like things that we wouldn't see because we're not involved in the case. So when you walk in and you see a sentence being handed down,
Yeah.
you might know a little bit more when you look at all the information together. So a judge would have everything in front of them, you know. So it's easy for people to sit back and say, "Oh, this was right and this was wrong." But it's important to be inquisitive with anything that happens out there. And if you're not happy with it, well then you speak to government, whether it be the health service, whether it be law, whether it be a judgment. But the I don't know about inconsistencies. I'd say it would be a little unfair for me to talk about that unless I know all about the case, you know. And even if I did know all about the case, who am I to make a judgment when I'm only there since 2015?
Yeah. But
There
like, you know the way
about
they say, like, what's it, justice is blind? I don't think it sees a bit better with money.
See, it's a bit better with money. So if I'm rich, you're saying that I might get a better outcome. Well, I don't know about that. Like, you know, I'm not rich. Look at the outcome I had. Absolutely awful.
No,
I don't.
that's just a personal opinion of mine, you know.
But
I don't know, you might think different, you might think different.
Everybody's views are important.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's views. Like I always say, there's 3 versions of every story.
Your
like
side, there's
your
the
side.
truth.
No, there's your side, there's my side, and everybody else's version. Like, you know, and it's important that people have a view on something. You know, regardless what it is, people have a view, and that they express the view, but it has to be an informed view. You know, because it's very easy for people. You look like on Facebook or you look on Twitter, and people are commenting about. You know, like I'll be on Twitter and I'll give out about something when a shadow of a doubt. You'll look at my Twitter feed, you'll see it. I put a post up today about legal aid fees on my LinkedIn account, you know. So I'm only expressing a view based on where I am.
Yeah.
You know, but I wouldn't dare express a view based on something that I just pulled out of the sky, you know, because I'll be leaving myself open for criticism. I just think it'd be a foolish thing to do. You know, but it's important that you have them views.
Yeah.
It's important that everybody has a view and that everybody lets their view be known. You know?
Aye.
That's the law and that's a fact.
Yeah.
Do you know him, man?
Who?
That's the law and that's a fact. What's his name? Do you know that?
Richard Grogan or something, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, Richard, could you watch Richard Grogan?
Yeah.
Oh, he's great.
Yeah.
I think his podcasts are great. You know, absolutely brilliant. Just the way
He
he's
has a podcast?
not the podcast, sorry.
videos.
The way, he does like these videos.
Yeah.
And just when he's talking about, let me tell you, I watch them all the time. I learn a lot from them as well.
I think there's a niche there because he's on, what's he, employment law.
Yeah.
There's a niche there for
no.
criminal law.
But when you look at a solicitor, like like Richard Grogan, like how long is he around doing what he's doing? He's probably a genius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolute genius. And I'd be sitting there watching that going, geez, I didn't know that. You know, or you see a newspaper clipping, you know, where they talk about something, geez, I didn't know that, and you keep it, you know?
Yeah.
And you say, no, I'll keep that handy in case I needed some time to go off and look at something.
But I think he's really tapped into the social media aspect. He does question box.
Has the game wrapped up.
Yeah, so you can just send in whatever you want to know. What I did find out from his videos is that, like, if you are on annual leave from work, you book your holidays and you're sick, you get a sick note, you get 10 days back.
Yeah.
That's fucking deadly. But
There
like,
you
imagine
go.
you could tap into that for criminal law. People can actually send you questions. You can do a 30-second video answering it.
Well, see, what happens with the barrister part is the client is actually the solicitor's client. So the solicitor's kind of like a GP, you know. They're brilliant at lots of things, you know. And because they do criminal law, they may pass on the case to you because you kind of specialise in that area, or maybe you're a little bit more familiar with that area. So what happens is that the solicitor's my client, and then he would say the accused or the injured party is their client, you know. So when people come up to you and say, oh, well, I'll tell you what happened to me last Tuesday, we're like, oh, hold a second, you know. We can't give that view unless we're instructed by a solicitor. They will say, Darren, will you do this case for me? And you go, grand, yeah. And then you can advise in it then. But you can't be just like kind of have a questions and answers podcast, you know, because we get into trouble over that because we're not briefed in the case. We don't have the full story behind us where the solicitor would, you know. So we kind of specialise in certain areas.
Yeah.
You know, so when I say I specialise in criminal law, there's people who be more experienced than me. So if I get something landed on my desk and I'm not too sure, I'll be asking them.
Yeah.
But I can only deal with something that a solicitor instructs me on. Nobody can walk out the street and say, oh, look, will you do this thing for me? They can ask for you. They can go into a solicitor and say, look, I want him to do it. But you can only be instructed. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I get it, yeah.
But like Richard Grogan can go on, he can have his
Q&A.
his videos. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
great.
Brilliant.
Absolutely
Brilliant.
brilliant.
Very informative, yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah.
Learned a lot of things off those.
Yeah.
You know, and I think he's making the best of social media. He's making it very, like you went up and looked after Section 8, he's making the information for people readily available, you know, and I'm sure he'll probably get a lot of work out of it as well, you know, but he's, it's something he's been doing a long time, employment law, you know, and he's on every show, Pat Kenny, you know, he's on Claire Bourne, you know, has it wrapped up.
Yeah, no, he does, yeah. So,
I want to be the next Richard Grogan.
right, wrapping this up, but before we go, don't forget, Talking Bollox Live, Liberty Hall, Friday, March 4th. Tickets on sale Monday, 7th of February. GoLoudNow.com/events. Sign up for the pre-sale. Doesn't guarantee you a ticket, but does increase your chances. €20 excluding booking fee. Get onto it. Take us out, Johnny.
Boom.
Subscribe to this podcast for free on the Go Loud app.
What you waiting for? Put your back in it. Just a little more. Throw your weight in it now. Tell your body you can. Walk it hard and low. When you finish that.
The hypno.
Go down, go down, go down. Come up, come up.